children, we had sweet childhood sweethearts on our screen that made us glue to TV to enjoy our wonderful childhood. We had lots of them as acts for Disney, Nickelodeon, local channel Cartoon Network, etc. One of these childhood acts is Amanda Bynes, our special childhood sweet act. She had it all: fame, fortune, and millions of fans. But one night, she vanished into the darkness. Amanda Bynes went from America's sweetheart to a name whispered in scandal. Was it Hollywood that broke her? Or something far more chilling? This is the story they tried to bury. A fall so silent, and a comeback so fragile. It'll leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about fame, mental health, and survival. Backhand index pointing right, stay to the end, because Amanda's story might just expose a truth we've all been too afraid to see.
Want to support us and appreciate our craft? Click like, comment, and hit the subscribe button now. Please note that all related materials referenced in this video were majorly sourced from either official court or police documents, reference statements, or other reputable sources, weeding out the speculation theory. Welcome to The Silent Witness, where we highlight true crime news, unsolved mysteries, unfold chilling stories and events around us to educate and provide information on how we can stay proactive, informed, be security and safety conscious in our environment. The Silent Witness is your go-to destination for gripping accounts of real-life crimes, missing persons, cold cases, and unexplained events.
Fame is a strange inheritance. Sometimes it doesn't feel like a gift. It feels like a setup. Amanda Laura Bynes was the youngest of 3 children. Born on April 3, 1986, in Thousand Oaks, California, she was the baby of the family, the one who made everyone laugh without trying. Her father, Rick Bynes, was a dentist, stoic, clean-cut, and quiet. Her mother, Lynn, a dental assistant and former office manager, was more expressive but exacting. Amanda's siblings, Tommy and Jillian, were older and occupied with their own pursuits, so Amanda often found herself in the background until she started talking. And when Amanda talked, people listened. Even as a toddler, her comic timing was eerie. She could impersonate people perfectly. She mimicked accents with precision. Her family called her the Little Mimic. By age 5, she could make an entire room fall silent and then burst into laughter. And what Amanda learned quickly was that laughter was power. Applause was approval. And when the spotlight hit her, even metaphorically, the shadows in her home seemed to retreat. For a little girl who desperately wanted to be seen, it was addicting. She wasn't born into Hollywood, but it was never too far away. California was a playground of proximity. Amanda's parents enrolled her in acting and comedy classes after she saw her older siblings taking extracurriculars. Her mother was cautious, but her father? He beamed with pride. Maybe too much. Maybe he saw in Amanda a second shot at the spotlight he never had. At age 7, during a stand-up showcase hosted at a local comedy camp, Amanda delivered a monologue about candy and dentists that made the room erupt. Among the crowd was a sharp-eyed Nickelodeon talent scout. She wasn't supposed to be scouting that day. She had only come because her niece was performing. But when Amanda stood up there, wide-eyed and fearless, the scout wrote a note on her notepad. "Get this girl on camera yesterday." This moment marked the beginning of the end of Amanda Bynes' normal childhood. Within 6 months, Amanda was cast in commercials. By age 10, she was a regular on Nickelodeon's All That, a sketch comedy show that was, for kids, what Saturday Night Live was for adults. She was dubbed a prodigy. Her physical comedy, facial expressions, and timing were nearly too sharp to believe. Behind the scenes, writers marveled. She delivers punchlines better than most adults. The executives at Nickelodeon knew they had struck gold. Amanda wasn't just a star. She was a brand. Within a year, she got her own spin-off show, The Amanda Show. It was a risky bet. She was only 13, but the gamble paid off. Millions tuned in. Ratings soared. Merchandise exploded. And Amanda became the face of childhood joy in late 90s America. But here's the chilling part. At the height of her comedic fame, Amanda was already exhausted. She never said no, because no one taught her that she could. Her schedule was brutal. 6-day filming weeks, script rewrites at night, interviews, promos, fan events, all while attending school and trying to be a regular teenager. In between takes, she'd stare off blankly while makeup artists dusted her cheeks. A production assistant once said, she never complained, but her eyes always looked like she was somewhere else. What most people don't know is that Amanda's early fame came with a price tag that no child should ever have to pay. She became a commodity. Her managers pushed for more exposure. Her agents urged her to keep smiling. Her parents, well-meaning but naive, assumed it was all part of the process. They didn't see the warning signs. They saw a girl living the dream. But dreams, when stretched too thin, unravel into nightmares. By the time Amanda turned 16, she was already a veteran in the industry. She'd filmed more than 50 episodes of her own show, acted in multiple movies, and was signed to major studio contracts. But there was no break, no rest, just more projects, more scripts, more smiling. When she landed a lead role in What a Girl Wants in 2003, she was only 17. The film was a box office success. Critics praised her infectious charm. But behind closed doors, Amanda started asking questions, dangerous ones in Hollywood. Questions like, when do I get to stop? And what if I don't want to be funny anymore? Executives were startled. Why would she want to stop now? She was just getting started. But the truth is, Amanda had never made the choice to start. She had been discovered, directed, managed, monetized, but never asked. And that's the tragedy behind many child stars. They are raised in front of cameras but never raised to know themselves. There's a photo of Amanda at 14 on the set of The Amanda Show, grinning with oversized glasses and a clipboard. The fans love it. It's viral. But if you look closely, her smile was tense, almost forced. You can see it in her jawline, the tension. You can see it in her eyes, the fatigue. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Amanda Bynes was never a reckless child. She was never rebellious. She was a hard worker, a professional, a perfectionist. But she was also a child. And children need protection, not publicity. The early 2000s media culture, though, didn't care. Paparazzi hounded her. Magazines speculated about her body. Headlines referred to her as hot property. All before she could legally vote. And this is where the real story begins. Not with her fame, but with her loss of ownership over her own life. Because when a child grows up performing for the world, but no one asks who they really are behind the scenes, what happens when the show ends? Amanda wasn't ready for that question. But the world was ready to exploit her search for an answer. Amanda's rise was no fluke. It was the product of charm, timing, and a ruthless machine that knows how to polish potential and how to profit from it. At just 10 years old, Amanda Bynes was living the dream millions envied. But what viewers didn't see was the finely tuned, high-pressure operation behind the curtains. Producers saw her as gold. A clean, bubbly image, boundless energy, and a knack for nailing punchlines. She became Nickelodeon's sweetheart. Her show, The Amanda Show, wasn't just popular. It was a cultural landmark. But what child viewers saw as harmless sketch comedy was, behind the scenes, the beginning of the distortion. Amanda was being handled, not parented, not mentored, but managed, booked, scheduled, branded. Her identity fused with her performance, and every camera angle reinforced that fusion. By her early teens, Amanda's fame had become an ecosystem. She was cast in films like Big Fat Liar and What a Girl Wants, wholesome roles that made her a role model. She smiled brightly on red carpets. Interviews painted her as mature beyond her years. But when the cameras stopped rolling, that maturity was not a gift. It was a defense mechanism. The Hollywood conveyor belt rewards compliance, not reflection. Amanda was expected to stay sweet, say the right things, show up we're told. And when she hit 18, her management pivoted. The roles grew older. She's the Man, Hairspray, Sydney White. These weren't just career moves. They were attempts to age her image, subtly sexualizing, yet keeping her digestible.
Want to support us and appreciate our craft? Click like, comment, and hit the subscribe button now.
And still, Amanda smiled. On the outside, she was succeeding. She won 4 Kids' Choice Award in 2000, received a number of nominations from the Teen Choice Awards and got nominated twice for the Young Artist Awards. Bynes was named one of Teen People's 25 Hottest Stars Under 25 in 2006. Internally, something began to fracture. Here's the twist no one wants to admit. Hollywood doesn't care about the girl. It cares about the image. The minute the real Amanda had questions, hesitations, or fatigue, she became a liability. And when she started pulling back from the system, canceling press tours, skipping auditions, it wasn't concern she met. It was coldness. Amanda's team began to thin. Studios didn't call as often. The it girl of the early 2000s was being replaced by newer faces. Amanda, who had grown up thinking applause meant love, began to taste the bitter irony. The same industry that raised her had no problem discarding her. In 2010, Amanda abruptly announced her retirement from acting on Twitter. She was only 24. Her reason? I don't love acting anymore. But behind that line was a wound. Amanda didn't know who she was outside of what people paid her to be. Life after stardom is rarely gentle. And for Amanda Bynes, it wasn't an exit. It was an unraveling. If you've ever loved a child star, ask yourself, did you love the person or the image you were sold? Subscribe for more. The public began to notice something strange. Amanda Bynes wasn't just absent from Hollywood. She was spiraling, and she was doing it in real time. Between 2011 and 2014, Amanda's name resurfaced not in film credits, but in tabloid headlines. A series of increasingly bizarre incidents began to form a pattern, one that alarmed fans and exploited her pain. First, there were cryptic tweets, then mugshots, a DUI, reports of erratic behavior, a photo of her shaving her head, a video of her speaking with a British accent, and the most chilling, setting a fire in a stranger's driveway. What happened to Amanda Bynes? The answer isn't simple. Fame can magnify mental illness, but it doesn't create it. Those close to Amanda whispered that she had been struggling with bipolar disorder and schizoaffective tendencies, conditions exacerbated by years of emotional suppression and identity distortion. For a young woman who had never known a life without applause, rejection felt like annihilation. And then there was the trauma. Amanda's former co-stars and friends hinted that she had endured unspoken violations in Hollywood. While no allegations were confirmed publicly, Amanda herself tweeted, and later deleted, disturbing claims involving past colleagues. Whether literal or metaphorical, the pain was real. The girl once known for making others laugh could now barely recognize herself in the mirror. In 2012, Bynes was charged with driving under the influence, DUI, in West Hollywood. She accepted a plea bargain of 3 years probation in exchange for the dismissal of the DUI charge. In May 2013, Bynes was charged with reckless endangerment and marijuana possession after she was found smoking in the lobby of her Manhattan apartment building. When officers entered her 36th floor apartment, she allegedly threw a bong out the window. A New York County judge dismissed the case against her in June 2014. In July 2013, Ventura County, California, sheriff's deputies detained her after she allegedly started a small fire in the driveway of a stranger in Thousand Oaks. She was hospitalized under a 72-hour mental health evaluation hold. In 2013, Amanda was placed on a 72-hour psychiatric hold after the fire incident. Her parents, Rick and Lynn, stepped in, requesting conservatorship over their daughter. A court granted it. For a time, Amanda's finances, medical decisions, and freedom were handed over to her parents. To the world, Amanda had become a cautionary tale. The media, ever hungry for spectacle, published paparazzi photos of her with disheveled hair and glassy eyes. They joked, they memed, they laughed. But Amanda wasn't laughing. She was trapped. Her tweets became cries for help. "I need to speak to a lawyer," she wrote once. "I'm scared of my dad." Then, weeks later, she recanted, blaming the statements on microchip implants in her brain. These weren't just dramatic outbursts. They were symptoms of a mind at war with itself. And yet, beneath the chaos, there were flickers of lucidity. Amanda enrolled in the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, FIDM. She expressed interest in designing a clothing line. She stayed off social media, For months at a time, she went quiet, but the silence was fragile. Amanda's mental health battles were ongoing, and because she had been famous so young, every slip became a headline. Still, her family held on. Rick and Lynn Bynes, despite the strain, refused to abandon their daughter. And Amanda, though rebellious, didn't sever ties. She remained in contact. She tried. She relapsed. She tried again. Her story was no longer about fame. It was about survival. Have you ever been judged for uncontrollable circumstances? Then you will understand her struggles. If you've ever judged a celebrity for falling apart, take a breath. Real people bleed beneath the pixels. Subscribe if you believe in second chances. Truths hidden beneath the Hollywood lights. They said it was for her safety, but she wasn't sure what was more suffocating: the public's mockery or her own parents' watchful hands. In 2013, Amanda Bynes was no longer just a troubled star. She had become a headline, a punchline, and a legal case. It began with a fire, literally. One July night, Amanda set a small fire in a stranger's driveway in Thousand Oaks, California. Authorities found her, disoriented, mumbling about microchips in her brain. It wasn't a scandal. It was a signal. The media had a field day, but Amanda's family was frightened. Her parents, Rick and Lynn, had watched their daughter unravel in real time, the same daughter they once guided into child stardom. And now, they filed for a temporary conservatorship, the same legal structure that had made headlines in Britney Spears' case. A conservatorship is meant to protect those unable to care for themselves. But to Amanda, it felt like a cage. The girl who once commanded million-dollar deals now couldn't spend $100 without approval. She was placed under psychiatric hold at a hospital in Pasadena. And while the tabloids screamed, "crazy," doctors whispered something more complex: schizoaffective disorder, bipolar tendencies, substance-induced episodes. A mind that had been laughing on Nickelodeon was now locked behind fog and fear. For her parents, it was heartbreaking. Rick and Lynn had never been stage parents in the typical sense, but they had allowed Hollywood to claim her, and now they were fighting to reclaim what was left. Lynn was named conservator of Amanda's medical and financial affairs. Suddenly, Amanda couldn't sign legal documents, choose where to live, or make treatment decisions. She was 27. Fans didn't know how to respond. Some cried, "Free Amanda," others said she needed help. But amid all the noise was a disturbing truth. A broken young woman had become entertainment again. And the system? It was still spinning. She stayed out of the public eye for a while. The wig-wearing, Twitter-ranting, court-dashing Amanda faded.
Want to support us and appreciate our craft? Click like, comment, and hit the subscribe button now.
The wig-wearing, Twitter-ranting, court-dashing Amanda faded. And in her place was a quieter version, rebuilding herself, cautiously. She enrolled at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, FIDM, in Los Angeles, determined to escape the actress label. At FIDM, classmates spoke of her as shy but polite, always well-dressed, obsessively private. She wanted to create. She wanted peace. And she wanted, desperately, to be seen as normal. But the conservatorship loomed. Any move she made was filtered through legal guardians. Her independence had become a negotiation. Still, she tried. Years passed, and Amanda seemed stable, even hopeful. She graduated with her associate's degree in 2019. Her interviews, rare and tightly controlled, hinted at introspection. She apologized for her past. She said she wanted to design clothes, maybe act again, but only in the future. Her voice was soft, her eyes uncertain, but the haunting question remained. Was she truly better, or just better hidden? In a 2020 paper trail to the court, Amanda herself requested the conservatorship be lifted. Her lawyer cited improvements, stability, and accountability. Amanda had been sober for years. She was in therapy, but the system moved slowly. And the public? They barely noticed. It would take until 2022, nearly 9 years later, for the conservatorship to be officially terminated. By then, Amanda was 36, a woman long past her Nickelodeon days, fighting just to own her own life again. And yet, the echoes lingered. How did we get here? How did a child who once made the world laugh end up asking permission to live? There are no easy answers, only cautionary ones. When the court finally freed Amanda Bynes from her conservatorship in 2022, the world barely paused. There were no fireworks, no trending hashtags, no mass celebration. Freedom, it turned out, doesn't always come with applause. Amanda had fought for nearly a decade to be seen as more than a patient or a liability. She wanted the world to meet the woman she'd become: educated, sober, grounded. But as the conservatorship ended, reality set in. Freedom was not a reset. It was the beginning of an uphill climb. The spotlight hadn't left. It had simply dimmed. Every step Amanda took was now loaded with expectations. Could she return to acting? Would she design clothes? Was she cured? But Amanda wasn't interested in performance anymore. She wanted peace. She moved into a modest home in the suburbs of LA, far from the luxury condos of her past. She stopped doing interviews. She deleted her Twitter. Her life became smaller, and that was intentional. In moments, Amanda appeared to flourish. She reconnected with friends, enrolled in advanced design classes, began work on a fragrance line, even opened up about her dreams of marrying and starting a family. And then, March 2023, one morning, Amanda was found wandering naked through the streets of downtown Los Angeles. She flagged down a car and told the driver she was coming down from a psychotic episode. She called 911 on herself. It was a chilling reminder. Recovery isn't a straight line. It never is. Amanda was placed on psychiatric hold once more. The headlines returned. So did the memes. But this time, something had shifted. The public was quieter, sadder. We'd seen this before. Amy Winehouse, Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan. The child star spiral had become tragically familiar. But Amanda didn't spiral. Not completely. After a few weeks of observation and treatment, she checked out of the facility and returned to outpatient care. She kept a low profile. No interviews. No paparazzi shots. Just silence. And in that silence, healing. Sources close to Amanda revealed she had recognized the signs early. She had sought help before things got dangerous. That alone was progress. Her fiancé, Paul Michael, a fellow student she met in rehab, remained by her side for a while. Their relationship was complex, sometimes tender, sometimes toxic. They eventually called it off. Amanda said very little publicly, but in her rare statements, there was a recurring theme. She was learning to forgive herself. That, perhaps, is the most undertold part of recovery. Not the therapy, not the sobriety, not the court wins, but the private battle of facing yourself every day and choosing grace. Amanda never got the redemption arc Hollywood loves. She didn't win an Oscar or headline a comeback tour. But maybe her triumph wasn't cinematic. Maybe it was personal. She made it through. And in a world that loves to watch people fall, Amanda Bynes stood up, again and again. Amanda Bynes' story is not just one of downfall. It's a reflection on all of us. The girl who once lit up Saturday morning screens ended up being consumed by the very machine that built her. She was funny, gifted, full of light, and Hollywood turned her into a commodity. Her smile became a product. Her breakdown, a punchline. And we watched. We laughed. We shared memes. But Amanda's collapse wasn't just mental illness. It was the predictable consequence of a system that profits from childhood dreams and discards them when they become inconvenient. It's also a wake-up call about fame itself. Fame, as Amanda once said, is like a drug. It gives you attention, validation, power, and then takes it all away, leaving you with withdrawals no one can see. She had it all by 16. She lost it all by 26. And yet, the lesson isn't to avoid fame. It's to build stronger foundations. Amanda's story shows what happens when a young person's entire identity is built around applause. When love becomes performance. When worth becomes ratings. But it also shows something else. That you can lose yourself, lose everything, and still claw your way back. That getting help doesn't make you weak. That trauma doesn't disqualify you from healing. And that sometimes, walking away from the spotlight is the bravest move of all. There's one quote Amanda gave that rarely gets attention. In a quiet, 2021 statement, she said. "I don't want to be perfect. I just want to be okay. That's enough for me." Let that sink in. For a generation raised on perfection, curated images, and fame-chasing, Amanda's story is a rare beacon of truth. You don't have to be extraordinary to matter. You don't have to be famous to be free. And you don't need the world to love you to learn to love yourself. Her story is still unfolding. Quietly, cautiously, courageously. We've seen the glitter. We've seen the gold. We've also seen what's left when the spotlight goes dark. This is what's left. Amanda Bynes was once a child who just wanted to make people laugh. She was a middle child, often the quiet bridge between her elder and younger siblings, navigating the emotional chaos that can form in a family orbiting a bright light like fame. In her earliest years, Amanda wasn't trying to be famous. She just wanted to belong, to please, to be perfect, to be enough. But the world we live in doesn't always reward authenticity. It rewards image, persona, marketability, and Amanda, with her quick wit and elastic expressions, became exactly what the machine needed: a product, a brand, a smile that could be broadcast to millions. Yet behind every joke, behind every punchline, was a girl cracking under the weight of expectations no teenager should ever carry. And now, here we are, picking up the pieces of that story and wondering, how many more Amandas will it take before we change? The lie we keep telling ourselves. When a celebrity unravels in public, we gawk. We laugh. We speculate. We say things like, "She had it all," or "He threw it away," without understanding what it all really cost them. We ignore the signs until they can't be ignored anymore. Then we turn those signs into hashtags, into punchlines, into content. Amanda's descent wasn't just a personal tragedy. It was a societal failure. Her breakdown became entertainment. Paparazzi trailed her while she cried in public. Media outlets recycled her mugshots like stock photos. And we consumed it. Every headline, every meltdown, every court hearing. We didn't look away. In fact, we paid more attention to Amanda Bynes when she was falling apart than we ever did when she was thriving. Why? Because pain sells. And in a world hungry for distractions, a beautiful woman breaking down in front of us becomes the perfect distraction. What if we looked at this differently? Imagine for a moment that Amanda wasn't famous. Imagine she was your sister, your daughter, your college roommate, the girl who grew up on your street. Would you still laugh at her tweets? Would you still share the video of her pacing outside a building barefoot, clearly disoriented? Would you still turn her pain into a meme? If the answer is no, if we wouldn't do this to someone we love, then why do we think it's okay to do it to someone just because they're on TV? Amanda's story demands more than pity. It demands introspection, because her downfall isn't a Hollywood problem. It's a human one. Mental illness doesn't discriminate, but compassion can heal. When Amanda was finally diagnosed with bipolar disorder, the media treated it like a footnote, another piece in a dramatic puzzle. But mental illness isn't drama. It's not gossip. It's a real, consuming challenge that rewires your brain and shatters your grip on reality. Amanda once believed she had microchips in her head. She believed people were impersonating her. She shaved her hair not because she wanted attention, but because she was in distress. And for the most part, no one stepped in, at least not early enough. So here's where we must pause and reflect. How many people around us are crying for help in ways we don't recognize? How many are spiraling while we scroll past their pain, too numb or too distracted to see it? Amanda's story is more than a cautionary tale about child stardom. It's a mirror. It shows us what happens when we dehumanize people who need care, when we trade empathy for engagement, and when we confuse entertainment with exploitation. The new Amanda, still fighting, still healing. Today, Amanda is still writing her story. It's quieter now, no studio sets or award shows, no paparazzi chasing her down sidewalks. Just therapy, reflection, recovery, and on the really good days, peace. She recently re-enrolled in fashion school. She's rebuilding relationships. She's starting over. And maybe that's the most powerful plot twist of all. Survival. Because survival in Hollywood isn't measured in box office numbers. It's measured in heartbeats, in scars, in the courage it takes to say, I'm not okay, and still wake up the next day and try again. Amanda may never return to the red carpet. And maybe she doesn't need to. Maybe the most revolutionary thing she can do is heal. Publicly. Imperfectly. Honestly. So what can we do? This story doesn't end with Amanda. It starts with us. Because right now, there are thousands of Amandas out there. Gifted, sensitive, confused young people navigating the noise of social media, chasing dreams in industries that consume them. There are girls filming TikToks to prove they're happy. Boys editing themselves into filters because they're ashamed of how they look. Teens being told that they're only worth as much as their follower count. If Amanda Bynes taught us anything, it's this. Fame without support is a weapon, and brilliance without protection is a ticking bomb. So the next time you see a young celebrity spiraling, pause. Before you share, before you laugh, before you judge, ask, what if this were someone I loved? This is your moment now to everyone watching this. This is your moment to choose empathy over mockery, to share stories that heal instead of headlines that harm, to subscribe not just to this channel, but to a new way of thinking. If Amanda's story moved you, if it made you think, if it made you feel, share it. Comment below. Let others know that behind every breakdown is a story worth hearing, a soul worth saving. Let's shift the culture. Let's stop making trauma trendy and start making kindness viral. And above all, let's never forget the laughing little girl who gave so much joy to the world and almost lost herself in the process. She's still here, still healing. And maybe, just maybe, so are we. If you felt anything from Amanda's journey, do 3 things right now. Click subscribe. Let's grow a community that values healing, not humiliation. Comment, I see you. Amanda, if you believe in second chances. Share this video with someone who needs to know they're not alone. You never know whose life you'll touch, because sometimes it only takes one story to change another.
Want to support us and appreciate our craft? Click like, comment, and hit the subscribe button now.